Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Empowered Divorce Decisions, where we will share information and resources to help you feel empowered to make those really critical decisions in your divorce and really help you move forward to the next chapter of your life with confidence. In today's first episode, we will be discussing 3 steps to jumpstart your divorce process. My name is Alina Cannon. I'm a divorce and investment strategist here at Argent Bridge Advisors. And joining me today is Eric Ashburn. Hey, Eric.
Hi.
Eric, hi. Eric is a partner and private wealth advisor also at Argent Bridge Advisors. Our financial planning firm, we are a multifamily office headquartered in Northern Virginia. We serve individuals and families throughout the U.S. We really specialize in supporting clients through those critical family moments, including divorce. And Eric and I are both certified divorce financial analysts.
Thanks, Alina. It's a pleasure to be here. Excited for the topic today. And I'm really excited because I've seen already in our 6 months probably together now, some of the cases that you've worked on and your expertise. So I think this information is really valuable and non-intimidating because it's really just the basics to get started, and taking it one step at a time, kind of as a checklist, really is the best way to get started. So I know we've talked about this beforehand, but complete same page with what the steps are. So I will let you get started with what we believe and what we discuss the best first step is.
Of course. Thank you, Eric. So the first step to really jumpstart your divorce process is to get organized. And what that means from a financial perspective, because in divorce, full financial disclosure by both spouses is legally required, is really getting all those financial documents that help you understand your full financial picture. And what that means is financial documents that help you understand all of your assets, right? So checking, savings, investment accounts, retirement accounts, any type of businesses, cars, boats, trucks. So all those assets, we really want that full financial picture, and debts too, assets, debts, income, as well as expenses. It's similar. So getting organized and getting that full financial picture, it's important in normal financial planning, and it's critical in divorce financial planning.
And I know that sounds like a lot, and it is.
Yeah.
Items, I know we have a checklist. So if anybody reaches out to us, happy to provide that. There's plenty online. Just take it one step at a time. And what we mean by assets is just like a recent statement, or you can put it in a spreadsheet, just something to get started. And then we can dig deeper kind of as needed from there.
Yeah, that is a really great point, Eric. We need some place to start. And the reason why it's important to create that financial picture and have a starting point is because in divorce, assets, essentially through the divorce process, you're working towards a divorce settlement agreement and a final divorce decree. But part of that process is taking the assets that are called marital assets. They have to get split some way. And it depends on the state you live in. Virginia, for example, is an equitable distribution state. And what that means in simple terms, assets get divided equitably, but for the most part, they get divided 50-50. The value of assets get divided 50-50 between the two spouses. And when I say you have to evaluate your priorities, what that means is I've never seen a case where one spouse gets 100% of the assets and the other spouse gets 0. Most cases really are 50-50 divided the assets. But it doesn't mean like every asset is divided exactly 50-50. Like one spouse can take more of one asset and less of another. So for example, if one spouse wants to keep the house, so there's lots of options with the house, but if one spouse wants to keep the house, essentially what has to happen is that spouse does what's called equity buyout of the house from the other spouse. And so the spouse keeping the house gets the equity in the house. but then gets less equity of another asset. So what's pretty common is the spouse keeping the house may keep the house and then maybe receive less retirement assets. And so when we say evaluate your priorities, is that what's important? What's more important to you? Is it keeping the marital home, the family home, or is it having sufficient retirement assets to live the lifestyle that you dream of, that you desire in retirement? Sometimes it may mean, if you're potentially considering receiving less in retirement assets, potentially working a little bit longer to maintain the same similar type of like retirement lifestyle. Or it may mean just a different lifestyle in retirement. So it takes a lot of reflection and a lot of evaluation to make it through the divorce process. So that's where we really recommend in that step 2, like evaluate your priorities like early on. And it's okay to change them, but just you want to evaluate, think how staying in the house, having more or less of retirement assets or other assets, brokerage assets, how that looks, how that feels today, how that feels 5, 10, 20 years in the future.
That's a great point. And sometimes you may need professional help with that step, because knowing if you'll have enough in retirement, keeping the house in your example, if that's realistic, sometimes an objective opinion can help with that, because it is difficult. It's a lot of weighing which is best, and sometimes it can be difficult to think many years in advance, which I
Yes.
kind of led you into the third step, but I'll let you go ahead and continue with it.
You set me up well. So the third step to really jumpstart your divorce process that we recommend is assembling your power team. So it flows, right? So once you have yourself organized, you have your documentation, you've thought about your priorities, then it really makes sense to pull in that power team to help support you through the process. And what that power team means is a family law attorney, right? That is aligned with you, your personality and your goals, your vision for your divorce process and beyond. And a financial professional, preferably a certified divorce financial analyst, somebody that really that knows finances, knows financial planning, but also specializes in the divorce process. Somebody like myself or Eric that understands not only financial planning, but the divorce considerations, the tax considerations, the liquidity considerations, understands what type of like settlement options are available in divorce and what that looks like post-divorce. And then other professionals are sometimes appropriate to bring in. The house example, if you want to keep the house, sometimes it makes sense talking to a mortgage lender that specializes in divorce to help you understand if you qualify for the mortgage, to refinance the mortgage in your own name, based on your sole income. Sometimes it makes sense to bring in a forensic accountant if there's suspicions of fraud. Sometimes it makes sense to bring in a realtor if you're considering also like selling your house. So it really just depends on your situation, your hopes and wishes, like for your divorce and how you split your assets, and your hopes and wishes for post-divorce and what that may look like. Post-divorce also, sometimes there's other professionals like an estate attorney may make sense to bring in to update wills and trusts and everything, to make sure it's aligned with your new normal.
That's a good point, because even though the 3 steps are the same for everybody, the power team may look a little bit different. I know you mentioned in step 2, evaluating your priorities. Based on those priorities, some financial professionals will be a higher priority in your power team, where like you must have them, as opposed to some just being nice to have or would be great. Some are completely crucial depending on what those priorities are, depending on what some of the specifics are. And I know everybody hates that answer. It depends, but it's the truth. Everyone's case is unique to them and needs a specific set of circumstances. At least in
Ex-
my experience, I assume you feel the same way.
1000%. Exactly. So thank you, Eric. And this concludes our very first episode, our discussion of the 3 steps to jumpstart your divorce process. We hope this information was beneficial, was helpful. We really appreciate you joining us. And we would absolutely love to keep the conversation going. We would love to be a resource for you. So do not hesitate to reach out to us directly and visit argenbridge.com to learn more.
Thanks for having me, and thanks everyone.